Hello, everybody. So I decided I'd do a Draw My Life, just so you get to know me and know where I come from. Here we are, at the very beginning. That is me, and my mom is Betty. I was born at a young age, you could say. My parents were very happy to have a kid. It's not like they were really looking for a kid, but at the same time, they were happy to keep a kid. And there's Baba and Mama. That's what we call them. But I put mom and dad, or dad and mom, just so everybody understands. um, I've, from as far as I remember, I've been with siblings. I don't remember a time when I was by myself, but I'm like 3 years older than my first sibling, and then there's my 3 younger brothers, and then I have a younger sister. We enjoyed each other's company and had a happy life. Have a happy life, not had. And yeah, speaking of a happy life, we love to play. Love to play together. Typically we play outside. I remember when I was younger, just like chasing my little brother with a mushroom once, yelling at him, mushroom, mushroom, because I'm crazy like that. And the craziest thing about it, though, is that I scared him so much with the mushroom that he does not like mushrooms to this day, to this very day. But we had a good time as a kid, as kids, I would say. We like to play, have fun, play around the house most of the time, and definitely outside. It was a good time. And, well, I've always been a very creative person. I like to draw, paint, sew my own dolls. There's a picture of a doll there. So I sew my own dolls. I'd write my own stories. And I was just very creative. All the arts were within me. I had a little bit acting chops. I would pretend to be a monster, a princess, you name it, like astronaut. And then I also loved drawing digital paintings on the computer. But we'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, the computer was very fun for me. And the main family member that introduced us to the computer was my dad. He, I think, got one from his work. He's a teacher, and he got one from work, I think. And one day he brought it home, and we were amazed. There were like so many games on there. We like to play the puzzle games on there. Puzzle games like adventure games. Let's see, I'm trying to think of a list of them. Like, but it was our first computer, and it was really fun. Like, we had a blast learning on it, playing. I remember, for instance, Oblivion. I made a character on there. His name was Starlon, and I was just so proud of myself. And speaking of being proud, my mom loved teaching with the computer and or with books. So we were homeschooled for a while. We learned off of like, I guess, like the Math Blaster, and other games. We learned math, spelling, grammar, lots of different things that are essential, and we enjoyed our time, and it was a good time learning with my mom. She always encouraged us to read books, go to the library. Yeah, it was always good. But things kind of changed one day. I just don't remember what day and like what the context entirely was, but I just remember my mom and dad got into a fight, and my dad was insisting that we go to school, and my mom was arguing her case, and my dad was saying that we're not learning enough. Like, again, like, I don't remember the full argument, but it was just we needed to go to school all of a sudden, so we entered school. For a while, my parents still do this. They've been renting, and we've been moving from house to house. And one of the houses, before we entered school, we were at first in Richmond, Virginia, and then we moved all the way to good old Lafayette, Colorado. There is where we moved, and that's also where we entered school. At first, we were homeschooled for at least until when I was old enough to go be in high school. Like, we were there for quite some time. But then all of a sudden, I was in school, and kids were pulling my hair. I was freaking out because, like, this is the first time I've been in school. Kids were freaking out. This is probably the first time they've seen a black girl in their school. So, like, it was a culture shock for everybody. And I was more aware of my hair, I feel like, once I entered school. Like, I was aware that I was different. But as time went on, I actually enjoyed school. Teachers were cool. The people there were cool and helpful. And I actually started to make friends. I met a black girl that had similar hair texture as mine. I met a girl that was really sweet and good in science. I met a girl that was named after one of the 4 seasons. I'll let you guess. And Um, I just met so many people in between. It was a very diverse school, and I appreciated that. And then yes, watch me struggle to spell. This word friends. There it is. Okay. But yeah, I made lots of friends, and it was great. I first was worried about my education and that I wouldn't graduate, but I graduated high school and it was a great day. I remember my parents being so proud, and I remember being so happy. I wore a yellow dress that day under my gown. It was a yellow dress I had made myself, actually. So I still was doing creative stuff. I was still creating, doing art, sewing, dancing, just doing anything creative that I could. So yeah, I enjoyed my graduation. But I still didn't know what to do after graduation. Our school was a very private school, and it encouraged and pushed for people to go straight to college. But I first didn't know. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. But even my parents were like, yeah, the next step, the next road to travel on is college. So off I went, off to college. I chose a local school. I really didn't have the funds or I guess that adventure spirit to go out of state, but I stayed in state, chose a community college, and so I went there. It was another culture shock going into a community college. I was freaking out again. I was like, what's going on? There's so many people. Oh my gosh, so many people. Ah. And it was very diverse. It was a very diverse cast of people. There were older people, younger people, just so many people. I was just like, whoa. Like, I remember, since my community college was in the city, I just remember like being so shocked, and it was pretty crazy. The only thing I could think about though while I was in college was boys, and more boys. I didn't have a boyfriend when I was in high school, so I kept dreaming of having a boyfriend while I was in college. I was like, maybe he'll be here, maybe he'll be someday. So I was starry-eyed and wide-eyed for a boyfriend. So while I'm also studying and adventuring through college, I actually met someone. I met him in the community game room, I will call it. And I just remember one day, like, I was playing pool and a couple of guys were playing ping pong, and a ping pong ball flies and hits me in the chest. And I look up and there's my guy and his friend playing. They invite me over to play, and the rest is history. That's how I met my my first boyfriend. We had lots of fun together. I remember going on grand adventures with him. Him and his family would go on vacations where, like, you would have to take a plane to get to the next destination, and I was just like, whoa, like, you guys do this all the time? Like, it was pretty amazing. I definitely admit it was really cool. I had a blast. But while I was having a blast, I was also failing in class. I was not doing so well in college. My papers were not turning out long enough, or my assignments just were usually graded poorly. Typically papers. I was feeling a lot like a failure, and I kind of hid myself in the relationship, to be honest. I was like, well, if I'm failing in one place, I'm at least succeeding in the relationship, or at least as far as I could. So as the relationship progressed, I moved in with him. We moved into an apartment that him and his sister shared. And it was a good time. I got to cook for him. I got to clean. I got to, be all cutesy, togethery type of stuff. And it was a good time. We had a good time. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to add his sister. There she is. But like all good things, they eventually end. And well, the love between me and my boyfriend started to fade. Mainly our vacations, even on like big old cruise ships. We went on cruise ships too. Like we're not as spectacular. Our fights started to get a little louder, and yeah, just things started to not be as good as before, and I started to realize I was like hiding from myself what I believed in. Like, I was hiding my values while he was into smoking. I was not, and I let it go that he was okay with certain things, and there were just our differences started to collide. And one day I just decided, yeah, don't see myself in this picture anymore, this relationship anymore. So I left one day, and I just left. I felt bad because I know he was good to me. It's not like he was awful or anything, but after a while, relationships can sour, and this is one of them that soured, and we had to go several ways, forcefully or unfortunately. It was just, yeah, we had to go our separate ways. So, yeah, I left him, and the thing is, I kind of went crazy after I left him. Well, not just kind of, I did. My mental health deteriorated really fast, and I wasn't able to keep a job. I was feeling paranoid most days. Paranoid that someone was out to get me, or my parents were out to get me. I read signs differently. Like, I thought yellow caution sign meant something different. Like, read the yellow. Yellow means something else. And I don't know, it just was not necessarily voices in my head, but like stories in my head. I just let them wander and take over me, and it led me into being in a mental hospital for at least a week. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely was interesting. I remember before even going to the mental hospital, I had got my hair cut, and brought into the mental hospital, and it's I guess I'm a little ashamed of it. Like, I wasn't trying to get over there, but I needed the help, and I got some medication. They kind of thought I was psychotic, but I guess I don't know what I was. I mostly was paranoid, very paranoid, and yeah. And but I recovered it. I reached out to friends and rekindled relationships, and I even got back talking to an old friend from high school, a guy friend to be exact, and I always liked him and always thought he was interesting. He always made me laugh, and he didn't like pull my hair like some of the other kids did. And something grew between us once I got back from the mental hospital, and something grew between us. And it grew stronger each day. And one day he asked if we could go on a date. And I was like, oh, is this a pity date? Since I've been like, I had been going on dates with other guys. But he turned out to be my second boyfriend. And we're together still. that our relationship, me and my second boyfriend, has been not entirely like smooth sailing, but we've been for each other the whole time. So I always reach to him and he always reaches to me when things get tough, and I'm always there for him. So there we are, reaching for each other. The one thing I noticed I feel like I have lost, I would say, over the years is my creativity. I stopped drawing, stopped painting, stopped making my own clothing, and it became a big problem. Even though I have problems, problems, pure plural. Things that problems that come to my mind a lot now has been money and also my failed classes in college. I got my associates, but associates in arts, but I still failed my bachelor degree search. So I don't know like where I'm going. I feel a little lost. And yes, I work at McDonald's now. So I feel like I'm at my lowest point, and I just don't know where to go. And I thought maybe YouTube can help me get my creative side back at least, and get me back on track with my goals of becoming a designer at some point in the future.